Public Information Officer. I want to introduce our City Manager, Robin Hayes, R-O-B-I-N-H-A-Y-E-S. Robin is going to make a statement. We're just going to take a couple of questions today about the report. So, thank you.
Afternoon. First, let me say this has been an emotionally tough process for our police department employees. Not only did they step up to speak with the investigating attorney, but they also supported the officers most affected by this investigation. The investigating attorney was hired with the expectation that an independent opinion would be provided to myself, the City Council, and the police department via a summary report resulting from individual interviews. As you might expect, there will now be a need for a healing process, reestablishing trust among the police department as well as within the administration. This will be one of the many areas the department will focus on during the next 30 to 90 days. The investigating attorney felt the names and positions of the employees, along with certain statements of fact, needed to be included in the report in order to support her conclusions and in order to assist with future required processes. The comments contained in the report were not reviewed by the employees prior to the final report being presented to the city. During our initial interview, the hiring process with the investigating attorney, I expressed the city's expectations for the report, and specifically that the report would reflect no city employee names, but the summary report presented was more comprehensive than requested. My concern has been that it is more important for our employees to feel empowered to speak freely throughout the investigative process. I would like to ask that you respect the fact that our employees spoke out of necessity and refrain from including their names in your reporting on this matter. In 2017-18, the City Council requested and approved funding for an audit of the police department. A similar audit was performed on the fire department, Fitch Associates report. There were 2 requests for proposals released for the police department audit, with no responses. Had there been a response, these issues may have arisen earlier. I feel as though I need to specifically address the puppy issue that was included in the report. I was made aware of the puppy issue after a period of time had passed. I reached out to a member of the police department for further information, but the police department member informed me that the issue had been resolved. There were some comments of inconsistent management practices. However, when I looked into the issue, members of the department could not recall any incidents or provide any substantiating examples. I would like to also address the incorrect statement reportedly made by Mr. O'Grady during his interview. While Mr. O'Grady mentioned several months ago his desire to reorganize the police department and add a second deputy chief, he had not presented any of his ideas to anyone in the police department and had only brought the matter to my attention and the attention of the HR director. As a matter of fact, Mr. O'Grady was very concerned that the police department personnel would find out of the proposed changes, and he did not want that to happen before he was ready to implement those changes. I did not approve the organizational proposal Mr. O'Grady presented. Therefore, it was not communicated to the police department, personnel, or Deputy Chief Bell. The City of Mount Dora Police Department is strong, led by the acting police chief, Robert Bell. The officers of the police department have confidence in Chief Bell and have supported him 100% since April. I have full confidence in Chief Bell, and the City Council been impressed with Chief Bell expressing their confidence in his leadership. The City of Mount Dora is proud of the police department, and the officers are here to serve and protect. They will continue to perform this function for the citizens of Mount Dora. The department will implement a training program such as a sensitivity and leadership training. Acting Chief Bell has already begun active communication with the officers and staff and will address policy needs in the future. During the upcoming weeks, I will work with Chief to develop a plan for the department to reflect the proper staffing and leadership needed to continue the high standards of excellence. And I just personally want to say that we have a wonderful police department. I want to thank them for all they do for us. They have been very professional during all of this, and they're here to serve. And they carry with them a huge heart in the way that they are here to protect. It's important to them. again, as I mentioned in my comments, I had been addressed a couple times that there was some inconsistencies. It's very disturbing. I'm worried that how many years for the entire period of time he was here did it exist, or was it just in more recent years? So, I think that there was some intimidation. So therefore, when I would ask a couple questions, there was no response. And I get that. That's a very common practice in police departments, fire departments. They're very similar to a paramilitary. But it's just hard to get to the bottom of a question when you can't receive that support or an answer.
Regarding, I wanted to ask you about his contract, and I think we brought this up before, that you guys had the ability to fire him whenever you wanted to. Why not fire him when this first came out? Why wait so long?
Again, we wanted to go through the entire process and to hear from our employees. Was there more to the issue than what we heard initially from the country club? Suspected there was, but we needed everyone to speak up so that we would be able to take care of the entire issue with really nothing to come back on the city. A suit later that was a falsified type of accusation. So we felt like the report was the best way. And again, it addressed the audit that we tried to initially do. And I think it has, to some degree, taken care of a lot of that. We'll still go through an audit in the future year just to see processes and improvements, and do we have other things we need to address and look at.
The report mentions Officer Cindy Blevins, corroborating the puppy story that Officer Severance had first brought to your attention a year ago. At that time, did you speak with Officer Blevins to corroborate that story yourself?
So in my notes of speaking with the Officer Severance, Blevins' name was not in that, and that was not the officer I went to speak to about it. So I went to a different officer and spoke to them about it.
Was it an officer directly involved? Can you tell us their name?
I cannot, but I will tell you that it was someone that I felt should have known.
Was it in the report?
No.
Any other questions?
Who else?
I just wanted to know, in the future, will anything be done differently to avoid anything like this in the future, like checking in with him, or is anything else that will be done differently?
Well, I speak with them, meet with them every week. We have weekly meetings with all the directors. Again, I think it's just an open communication. So we'll continue to work on it. We have good morale. I think that if you were to speak to Deputy Chief Bell, he's very impressed with the morale of the police department right now. So again, we'll look at processes, and we'll look at everything that we do from a simple policy through a process to our employees. Do we have some employee types of policies that we need to look at? Then we're going to look at all of that. We're going to spend time and go through the entire division and make sure that we correct or at least acknowledge there are some that need to be addressed.
So is Deputy Chief Bell going to be the next chief, or are you still going to look for other options?
So I'm going to wait for a period of time, and I've spoken to Deputy Chief Bell, and we're going to give it a little bit of time. The department needs to heal a little bit, and I believe he is the best solution for us. And he needs to have the opportunity to think about what he wishes for his future. And I don't want to impress upon him that he needs to do something. He needs to come to that conclusion, but we haven't reached out to have that conversation yet.
And I'm sorry, I don't know much about this story because I haven't followed it first time. Puppy story, what is it? Can you explain it real briefly and just tell me?
That's
This is
all.
a good
That's
one.
all in
You'll
the
love this.
summary.
Yeah,
That's
I
in
think
the
it's in the
summary.
summary.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
One more question. Anybody?
So thank you again for coming out today. And again, I just request that you really take into consideration our employees when you put your story together. And remember, they are the innocent folks here, and they really should be treated with respect. So I just ask that you do that. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.